Whether you're just starting out with plyometric training or looking to increase the efficiency of your plyos, landing mechanics is the most important aspect. I like to approach landing mechanics keeping two things in mind. Number one is the spiral line of the body, which is a fascial line that runs underneath the foot like a stirrup all the way around the body like a spiral, connecting to the top of the neck or the base of the skull. And number two is the pelvic floor. The pelvic floor are layers of muscles at the bottom of the torso that connect the sits bones, the tailbone, and the pubic bone. When it comes to the spiral line, you want your body and that spiral line to act like a spring. So the spiral line is in charge of a lot of coordination, like walking, balancing, and of course, landing. So if that spiral line is springy and we've got tension throughout that line of the body, then we're gonna be much more explosive and control the landings much better. When it comes to the pelvic floor, we want the pelvic floor to be able to contract in our plyos to keep our body safe. And we want that contraction to happen almost involuntarily or anticipatory to the landing of our body weight on the floor. We will contract the pelvic floor on demand, but eventually over time, we want that to happen involuntarily. So you can follow along with me or just watch and then try some of these drills on your own later. Let's talk about how to activate the spiral line or feel its effectiveness in the body. And we're going to be using squats as an easy example to bridge both of these ideas. So I want you to stand in a squat stance with wide feet, about shoulder width apart, not too turned out in those toes. And I just want you to lift your toes off of the floor. So just by lifting your toes off of the floor, hopefully we get that arch of the foot lifted or engaged. The spiral line is only as strong as the arch in the bottom of your foot. That's where each spiral line connects. We have one on each side of the body. We're connecting the spiral lines from the arch of the foot. So we want that to be nice and strong to translate through the rest of the body. So if you can't feel this arch lifting while you lift your toes, then I want you to create a short foot. You're going to try to pull and drag your toes back towards your heel, which will lift that arch up off the floor, or at least engage the muscles on the bottom of the foot. Then from there, you're going to try to maintain that tension in the middle of the foot, but press the ball of the foot on the floor and spread those toes out. So now that we've got that arch engaged, let's try to engage both feet at the same time, either by creating that short foot or lifting those toes up. Spread them out as you bring those toes back down, but maintain that engagement in the bottom of the foot. And then you're going to go into a squat. Doesn't have to be a super deep squat, but I want you to maintain that arch of the foot as you go down and as you come back up. You can, of course, squat to something like a chair or some yoga blocks. Now at the bottom, check in with yourself. Make sure that arch is still lifted, but not rolled out to the outside of the foot, right? We want this to be engaged. So as you go down in this squat, you'll feel nice and springy in the joints of your lower body, right? And like I said, doesn't have to be a super deep squat. I still feel pretty springy, even in my squat here, as long as those arches are nice and lifted. Okay, let's do a few more. Finding that squat, try to maintain that lift of the arch. Relax. Find the arch, find that squat. Coming back up and relax. Two more. Find the squat and up. Relax. One more. Find the arch. Go into that deep squat or wherever you're comfortable and come back up. Nice. So now let's address the pelvic floor. As you inhale, the pelvic floor is going to drop and it's going to widen. As you exhale, the pelvic floor is going to shorten and lift. So you're lifting it like an elevator, as if you're taking a tissue off the ground and pulling straight up. So you could do this seated in your squat, lying down, wherever you feel most comfortable. But we're just going to practice these breaths. Right? So as you inhale, I want you to think about dropping your pelvic floor and spreading out those 4 points that I mentioned, the sits bones, the tailbone, and the pubic bone. We're spreading those 4 bony parts apart. And then as you exhale, You're gonna squeeze in and lift up. Notice how that also might engage the abdominals, your transverse abdominals, which are the innermost abdominal layer, and the diaphragm. Then let's try that again. Inhale, pulling down and out, widening those 4 points. And exhale, pulling in and up. Let's do one more just like that. This might take lots of practice, so just keep on practicing on your own with this one. And over time, you'll get that feeling. So now let's apply that to a squat. Just like our other example, as you go down into your squat, you don't have to think too much about the arches of the feet right now or that spiral line, but as you go into that squat, we're gonna inhale, widen that pelvic floor. As you come up, we're gonna exhale and lift. All right, so we're gonna inhale and come on down, and exhale, lift. Inhale, come on down, and exhale, lift. Let's do 2 more. Inhale, lift, dropping down, and exhale, up. And one more time. And exhale. Good. So now let's talk about how that pelvic floor is actually going to work when you land. So do we want the pelvic floor to still be dropping as we land from our jumps? No, we actually want the pelvic floor to contract by the time we land. So we're gonna switch it up so that it makes more sense in translation to your landing. As you start to drop, keep that inhale going, but at the very bottom, you're gonna exhale and contract that pelvic floor. And the way that we're gonna make this more realistic is by increasing the tempo. So now that we have the base of the spiral line understood and the base of the pelvic floor understood, let's combine them and speed up the tempo so it actually makes sense in the context of plyometric training. On your way down, you're going to move quickly. You're going to lift the arches and you're going to lift the pelvic floor. As you come up, we're gonna take that slow tempo. Okay, as you go down, it's fast. As you come up, it's slow. Okay, so let's just try a few of those. Go down fast, come up slow. Exhale on the down, inhale to come back up. We're gonna exhale down in 1 count. Ready? And go. Make sure that the arches are lifted and pelvic floor is lifted. Then slowly come on up. And again. And slowly come on up. And again. Slowly come on up. 2 more. Slowly come on up. Last one. Check in with those arches again. Make sure the arches are lifted. We're springy in this position. That pelvic floor is up at the highest level. And relax. So now let's add in a little bit more speed and dynamics to this movement. So we're gonna start by lifting the heels up, almost like we're coming down from a jump, and we're gonna do that same thing. You're gonna exhale as you land, lift the pelvic floor, pull those arches up, and then we'll come up slow again. This time the down is gonna be even faster. So I want you to release from the top with the feet and the legs so that it's as if you're coming down from a jump. Okay, so now we're lifting the arches of the feet, getting that spiral line engaged, and lifting the pelvic floor even quicker. Okay, so we're gonna do 5 of these. So you're gonna lift those heels nice and slow. Again, this is your inhale, and go ahead, drop. Stand up slow, lift those heels, and again. Stand up slow, lift the heels, and stand up slow, lift the heels, and drop. One more, stand up slow, lift the heels, and okay. So now come on out of that position. The last thing I do to incorporate a little bit more landing is a little tiny baby jump where we are not actually leaving the floor. We're just going up fast, down fast, up fast, down fast. So I'm gonna show you a couple and then I'll break it down just a little bit. So I'm gonna start going down fast and then explode into that up fast. Right, so from that fast down, I'm going to basically go into this same position, but now I'm just pushing off so I have no weight on my feet. My toes are just reaching for the ground, and then I land back in that position again. So by now, if we've been doing this over time, the pelvic floor should be contracting on demand with that landing, anticipatory of that landing, and the spiral line should be there to really catch you at the bottom, right? So if we need to work on the mechanics in previous steps, go back and try those. But if you feel pretty good and feel like your pelvic floor is catching you, then we can move on to this last one. So let's try 5 of these. Again, we're gonna start down fast. And once again, does not need to be your deepest squat ever, okay? We can do this at different levels. So I'm showing a deep squat. You could do a half squat or a parallel squat, all right? So we're gonna go for 5. Down fast, up fast. Ready? And here we go. And rest. All right, thanks for joining for this quick little tutorial. It's a lot of information that I've jam-packed into a very short amount of time. So come back and try this over and over again. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions about any of this. And if you liked this video, please like and subscribe. Thanks so much.